Hello and welcome to TVB News. For the first time, the Independent Commission Against Corruption and the Competition Commission joined forces to crack down on a syndicate which allegedly engaged in bid rigging for building maintenance projects. 20 people have been arrested, including contractors, consultants, and members of owners' corporations. It involved contracts worth nearly $200 million in total. Jackie Lin reports.
Earlier, the ICAC and the Competition Commission received separate reports and tip-offs from the public over suspected bid rigging schemes in building maintenance works. With that, they launched a joint operation on the syndicate and uncovered that the case included major contracts for 2 housing estates and commercial buildings on Hong Kong Island, as well as 4 housing estates and industrial buildings in the new territories, involving $180 million altogether. Other smaller contracts also involved a few million to tens of millions of dollars. There are also individual projects that are suspected to involve bribes of more than $1 million. About half of the projects have been approved. Those arrested in connection with the case were suspected of having offered bribes and engaging in anti-competitive behaviors, such as collusion with favored contractors to secure engineering and consultancy contracts, manipulating tenders and inflating the project's bidding prices. According to court warrants, over the past 2 days, 40 premises were searched, including multiple contractors, consulting companies, and offices of property management companies. Aged 36 to 70, the 20 people arrested include the group's alleged mastermind, contractors, middlemen, and reportedly members of owners' corporations. The Competition Commission said it exercised its powers to force the parties to hand over documents. Jackie Lin, TVB News.
A 23-year-old woman has been arrested on suspicion of posting an exam paper from this year's DSE online. She has been released on bail pending further investigation. It is understood that the arrestee was an invigilator. Jackie Lin again.
The Hong Kong Diploma of Secondary Education examination started last Tuesday. Reports have since emerged that some people have uploaded this year's DSE exam papers on a mainland social media platform. On Tuesday, police received a report from the Examination Authority. After investigations, the Wan Chai District Crime Unit arrested a woman on Wednesday on suspicion of violating the Hong Kong Examinations and Assessment Authority Ordinance. It is understood the woman was a teaching assistant at a local secondary school and a DSE invigilator. She allegedly posted the English listening exam paper on her Xiaohongshu account after invigilation on Saturday. It's understood police discovered a total of 5 Xiaohongshu accounts with uploads of DSE exam papers. Police warn that anyone who violates the relevant ordinances is liable to imprisonment of up to 6 months and a fine of $25,000. The exam authority said it is cooperating with the police over the case, and the preliminary evidence suggests the exam paper was uploaded only after the exam and has no impact on exam confidentiality. The authority added exam content shall not be reposted or published elsewhere in any form, and there will be follow-up action on any examination personnel who have violated the confidentiality provisions. Jackie Lin, TVB News.
Over the coming 5 years, the government's light public housing is set to incur operating expenses of around $4.4 billion, with each unit costing about $1,000 per month. Secretary for Housing Winnie Ho explained the expenses cover not just management fees, but also the operation of surrounding public facilities. Jackie Lin reports.
The Housing Bureau expects the 30,000 light public housing units, which provide short-term homes for citizens with poor living conditions, will cost some $4.4 billion in operating expenses. On average, each unit costs $1,000 every month. At a Finance Committee meeting at the Legislative Council, some lawmakers questioned why it costs that much.
Does it make sense to have so high a management fee for those new units? Will the residents be expected to afford to shoulder that cost? This is the operating expenses, not just management. We have not just cleaning and security guards, there's also provision of services, which will benefit the entire community. So in Siu Lam, we will put a bus stop there with 4 bus routes. Next, near Siu Lam, there is a waterfront promenade.
Another concern, how to reuse the modular integrated construction or MIC modules.
30,000 units will not end their service at the same time. For the Kai-Tak project, the site will be returned to the Development Bureau after 5 years. But for other sites, say in Choi Heng, the site was reserved for a surface reservoir.
Late last month, the Housing Secretary and officials involved in housing visited Huizhou to inspect the production of MIC modules for light public housing. Production facilities visited include the CSCEC Science and Industry Green Tech Corporation, where officials witnessed the smart and automated manufacturing processes involved in producing the modules. Construction technologies also applied to electrical and plumbing, as well as MIC lifts, which could eventually help to develop Hong Kong's first steel full MIC high-rise construction project. Jackie Lin, TVB News.
Foreign Minister Wang has started his official visit to Indonesia. He met with incumbent Indonesian President Joko Widodo, as well as his successor Prabowo Subianto. Mimo Sangai reports.
Foreign Minister Wang visited the Ministry of Defense after arriving in Indonesia. Wang was received by Prabowo Subianto, the Minister of Defense. Wang, who is also a member of the Political Bureau of the Communist Party of China's Central Committee, also arrived at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, where he met his counterpart, Retno Marsudi. In the meeting, Wang said the visit is to demonstrate China's firm support for Indonesia and to further promote the relationship between the two countries. The two ministers spoke to the press afterwards. Wang said the two countries oppose unilateralism and said people should stay vigilant over the different small circles in the South China Sea. He said it is important to cherish and maintain the valuable peace and stability in the region. He then mentioned the Gaza conflict. Wang criticized the U.S. for not respecting the ceasefire resolution called for by the United Nations Security Council. He said China supports the Security Council in discussing and accepting the application of Palestine to obtain UN membership. Wang also said China will enhance its cooperation with Indonesia in areas such as the digital economy. News 9, TVB News.
The Foreign Ministry announced U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken will visit China. Blinken will depart on April 23rd for a 4-day visit to China, where he will meet with senior Chinese officials amid heightening tensions over trade and China's relationship with Russia. Blinken is currently in Italy in preparation for the G7 meeting. Washington earlier said Blinken would visit China in a few weeks' time, and during the trip, he will talk about the U.S.'s concerns towards China's assistance to Russia during the Russian-Ukraine war. U.S. President Joe Biden says he wants heavier tariffs on Chinese steel, as he promised to block a Japanese company from acquiring an American steel company in Pittsburgh. Beijing criticized the new tariffs as being an exercise of protectionism. Tracy Furness reports.
President Biden did not mince words while addressing Pittsburgh steelworkers Wednesday about cheap steel from China being dumped on the global market.
American steelworkers can outcompete as long as they have fair competition. But for too long, the Chinese government has poured state money into Chinese steel companies, pushing them to make so much steel as much as possible, subsidized by the Chinese government. Because Chinese steel companies produce a lot more steel than China needs, it ends up dumping extra steel into the global markets at unfairly low prices. They're not competing. They're cheating. They're cheating. And we've seen the damage here in America.
Biden called for tripling tariffs on Chinese steel. He also promised the cheering crowd of unionized steelworkers that his administration would block the acquisition of U.S. steel by Japanese Nippon Steel. In his speech, Biden clearly has the upcoming presidential election and his likely rival Donald Trump in mind.
Finally, for all this tough talk on China, it never occurred to my predecessor to do any of that. The bottom line is I want fair competition with China, not conflict. And we're in a stronger position to win the economic competition of the 21st century against China or anyone else because we're investing in America and American workers again, finally.
While the announcements reflected the intersection of Biden's international trade policy with his re-election effort, the White House insists they are more about shielding American manufacturing from unfair trade practices overseas. Beijing said new tariffs by the US would be an exercise of protectionism. A foreign ministry spokesperson said Beijing has always requested Washington to respect the principle of fair competition and stop picking on China. Some analysts believe Beijing made the comments because he was trying to attract voters from the steel sector in the swing state of Pennsylvania. Tracy Furness, TVB News.
Welcome back. The Hong Kong Shenzhen Innovation and Technology Park, located near the border with Shenzhen, today signed a memorandum on the collaborative partnership with 59 enterprises and academic institution partners. 24 of them will be inaugurated for the first time in Hong Kong. Mimo Singhai reports.
The launching ceremony was held at the central government offices this morning.
3, 2, 1.
Chief Executive John Lee and Secretary for Innovation, Technology and Industry Xun Dong was among senior government officials who attended the event. Among the 59 partnered companies and organizations with the Hong Kong Shenzhen Innovation and Technology Park, or HSITP, about 40% came from the mainland, including China Resources Research Institute of Science and Technology and Peking University. There are also overseas and local institutions such as AstraZeneca from the UK and Hong Kong Baptist University. In a speech, the CE highlighted the importance of the HSITP.
Its strategic location in the Shenzhen-Hong Kong loop, the park will form part of the Shenzhen-Hong Kong Science and Technology Innovation Cooperation Zone. The loop will become a key area of INT development that transcends beyond our boundary and the mainland. In Hong Kong, the park is within the Shenzhen Technopro area, which will emerge as our city's largest INT center by far, with some 300 hectares supporting Hong Kong's rise as an international INT hub.
The government said the first phase of the development of the HSITP will be completed by the end of this year. A biopharmaceutical company explained why they decided to join the HSITP.
This hotel concept, suppose, it's like having, being in China, in the mainland, but enjoying the Hong Kong, policies, the Hong Kong benefits, And if everything works like what the government is trying to do, I think it's a really good opportunity.
The HSITP layout was announced by the central government in August last year. Mims 9, TVB News.
Tomorrow, the world's most populous country starts a giant election featuring almost 1 billion voters. Indians will cast their vote on a new parliament and potentially a new leader. Current Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his Bharatiya Janata Party are considered favorites to remain in power. It is the world's largest ever vote. 969 million can participate. David Garrett looks ahead.
Electioneering to the beat of the Indian drum, the supporters of the BJP, Prime Minister Narendra Modi's party, will vote in the first of 7 election phases. On Friday, Indians in 21 states will start choosing 543 members for India's lower house. The party or coalition with the most seats forms the government. It is such a massive process, it takes 6 weeks and results are not expected until June. Modi has traditionally struggled to break through here in the southern state of Tamil Nadu. A confetti cannon and a motorbike parade to highlight the qualities of the DMK candidate. DMK won 38 out of 39 parliamentary seats in Tamil Nadu in 2019 and should do well again. But across the vast country, Modi does better. In Uttar Pradesh, he has consolidated the Hindu vote over the last 2 elections and has been on a publicity drive again.
Aggressive, very good communication. He will adapt the technology of those morph images being done and use technology to propagate. And propaganda also to the extent of just putting it to the head of the people.
These boys are attending a shaka, a kind of Hinduist national youth group. Modi would have been at something similar as he grew up in Gujarat. The 73-year-old came to national prominence as governor of the state that was besieged by Muslim riots in 2001. Modi turned his Hindu values into a political movement and dynasty. His nationalist ideals have resonated with voters. At a rally, this business owner and Modi supporter Avdesh says, "We have a majority of Hindus here. Why not have a Hindu country?" But Modi's critics say he suppresses minority rights, especially those of Muslims. Others say it is simple maths. 80% of the country is Hindu. Modi is targeting at least 65% of the national vote.
Mr. Modi's ultimate goal is to strengthen Hindu nationalistic politics more and more and more, and eventually reach a stage when ideological contestation ceases in India and there is no opposition to any of the programmatic initiatives of the government.
Some will vote depending on economic considerations. Back in Chennai, this newlywed is confident about the future, but worried she won't have enough money to bring up a family.
The price rise is difficult on everyone. It's like difficult for every people. So I think like the government should do something regarding the price rise.
In the states that vote on Friday, people can do so from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. There are 7 phases. The second phase of voting is on April the 26th. The 7th is on June 1st. Modi seeks to become only the second leader in Indian history to secure a third term in power. David Garrett, TVB News.
The U.S. Senate heard from an expert panel on transportation that there are serious flaws in Boeing's safety culture. Congress was examining allegations of failures at the aircraft manufacturer, which is under scrutiny after a door plug blew off a 737 Alaska Airlines jet in January.
Recent incidents have left the flying public worried. The perception is things are getting worse. The public wants the Federal Aviation Administration and Congress to confront perceived risks in order to restore confidence for flyers.
Boeing says it prioritizes safety above all else, but when the expert panel asked Boeing to produce evidence of this commitment, the evidence that Boeing provided, and I quote, did not provide objective evidence of a foundational commitment to safety that matched Boeing's descriptions of that objective, end quote. That should be shocking.
In another Senate hearing, a Boeing quality engineer turned whistleblower told a committee he had raised safety concerns with the company. He says some productions were forced through too quickly, creating premature fatigue and defective airplanes. Sam Salapur said he was sidelined, threatened, and told to shut up. No Boeing representatives attended the meetings on Capitol Hill, but the company disputes his claims. That's the news. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.